all the talk about fighting for the soul of America, nobody seems to like it very much. Too many liberals give the impression that to them, America is just a big, ugh. The red, white, and ew. You know who's not constantly complaining about what happened 200 years ago and who's not obsessed with seeing America through colored glasses and shaking off the stench of what irredeemable privileged souls we are? Immigrants.
Bill Maher's sharp critique of parts of the left, especially their open contempt for the United States, clearly resonated with many people after last year's election. A number of left-leaning voices openly cut ties with anyone they saw as being on the right, drawing an even firmer line between sides. Maher worries this mindset could split Democrats from within, weakening them at a critical moment. A recent episode of Real Time with Bill Maher raised this concern and invites us to think about why it matters so much right now.
Liberals give the impression that to them, America is just a big, ugh. The red, white, and ew. A country that started out bad and will always be bad, founded on an unrelenting history of sucking and unable to change. But we have changed a lot. But I am a perspective guy. And that's what too much of the left has lost, perspective. 72% of black people under 30 are optimistic about their future in America. Way more than white people the same age. And as far as the land goes, yes, I guess we could change the name of Captain America to Captain Stolen Land.
Bill Maher is at his best when he challenges a familiar storyline with facts that make people uncomfortable. For years, many black liberals have argued that their opportunities keep shrinking and that true freedom in America remains out of reach. It's a bleak picture repeated so often that it's rarely questioned and slowly becomes accepted as truth. Maher takes a different approach. Instead of relying on slogans or online outrage, he turns to real-world data to push back. Then the figures he shares suggest that this outlook isn't entirely correct. They show that many African Americans feel hopeful about what lies ahead, believe their lives are getting better, and most importantly, say they wouldn't want to live anywhere else in the world. This doesn't mean real problems don't exist or that racism suddenly disappeared. What it does mean is that America is far less hopeless and far more layered than activists and media voices often suggest. Maher's point comes through clearly stories built on fear may grab attention, but they don't always tell the full truth.
Honestly, to all the people who start every public event now with one of those land acknowledgements where they say, I'm standing on land that was stolen from the proud indigenous people of the Chumash tribe, I say either give it back or shut them up.
Maher doesn't soften his stance at all. It's clear he's tired of defending what he sees as hollow performative politics. On the left, he zeroes in on the contradiction with sharp accuracy. At public events, people begin by announcing they're standing on land once owned by a Native American tribe, then stop there. If that claim truly matters, Maher argues, return the land. If not, stop pretending. His point isn't to attack Native Americans. Instead, he's calling out how ridiculous the ritual has become. These scripted statements change nothing, require no real effort, and exist mainly to make the speaker look morally superior rather than to bring about fairness. As a result, the practice comes across as empty and frankly meaningless. Real responsibility demands sacrifice, not carefully read apologies from a screen. In Maher's view, modern woke politics has turned into a loud, chaotic display of self-praise. He sees it as a collection of empty gestures designed to protect powerful people from real consequences while letting them feel virtuous, and he's clearly reached his limit. 4.
And something like the free market is kind of synonymous with America. And if you don't like it, I don't know how you can say you love this country. You know who loves this country? You know who's not constantly complaining about what happened 200 years ago and who's not obsessed with seeing America through colored glasses and shaking off the stench of what irredeemable privileged souls we are? Immigrants.
For many immigrants, simply reaching America brings a deep sense of appreciation. Even with its imperfections, the country represents their strongest chance at a better life. That belief doesn't come from comfort or ideology, it grows out of lived experience. Many have known poverty, violence, corruption, or harsh control firsthand. So, when they arrive in the United States, they notice opportunity, where others focus only on flaws. Maher, along with many Americans, is frustrated by how the left dismisses this Outlook, the same voices that call for empathy and gratitude often turn sharply against the very nation that gives them a platform. Let's be honest, much of that anger comes from political disappointment, not policy alone. Had KLA Harris won, the narrative would likely have flipped overnight. America would suddenly be praised as kinder, wiser, more caring, and even more culturally gifted. Immigrants, however, spot the inconsistency. Immediately, they recognize sincerity when they see it, and they also recognize when it's missing.
Ask any of them why they came here, and they will tell you the same thing. Ron DeSantis put me on a plane. But they will also tell you that America, for all that's so shitty about it right now, is still the last best hope. And those people asking for our votes to take it over.
Yet the contradiction is impossible to miss if some on the left truly believe America is deeply racist, broken, and beyond repair. Why work so hard to encourage people to move here? Both ideas can't stand at the same time. On one side, the country is painted as cruel and oppressive. On the other, it's treated as a destination people should eagerly seek out. If the situation were really as terrible as claimed, stricter borders and clear warnings to stay away would seem logical, but that isn't what happens. Deep down, even critics understand the reality. Most nations simply can't offer the same mix of opportunity, freedom, and chances to move ahead that the United States still provides. Beneath the loud protests and harsh words lies a quiet agreement. America remains a place worth coming to, standing up for, and calling home, even in the eyes of those who criticize it the most.
For your exile, you do wind up in some comparatively luxurious place like Canada or Japan or the UK. Not that they want you. At best, you'll be trading a bunch of stuff you hate about this country for a bunch of stuff you'll soon hate about your new home. It took me only 4 days in Amsterdam to learn that while I admire Amsterdam, I don't want to live there. The buildings are cramped and shaped like needles. The food is awful. The TV's in a different language. It's wet and cold. The people are polite but cold. And they do a bunch of weird. The explanation for, according to my friend, was just remember they're high.
When you strip away the noise, the fake outrage, and the non-stop moral showmanship, one truth stands out clearly. Life in America is still something special. It isn't flawless, and it certainly deserves criticism at times, but it remains fundamentally different from much of the world in ways that truly matter. Americans enjoy rare freedoms, speech, protest, fair trials, and the chance to move ahead that many people elsewhere can only imagine. These freedoms are precious, easily damaged, and often overlooked by those who benefit from them most. That blind spot is exactly what fuels Bill Maher frustration. You can't honestly call a country evil while fully relying on the rights that others around the world risk everything to obtain. If you can criticize leaders, organize protests, mock the government, and even bend the rules with little fear of serious punishment, it's hard to argue you're living under oppression. Perspective makes all the difference. Immigrants see it clearly, so do people who have lived under real dictatorships. Many loud critics in America simply haven't. None of this means the country shouldn't strive to improve. It absolutely should. Progress matters, but real improvement starts with appreciation instead of contempt, and with honesty rather than exaggeration. The biggest danger facing America isn't constant mistreatment, it's complacency. Because life is relatively safe and free, many forget how valuable those freedoms are, and once that happens, losing them becomes far easier than anyone expects.
Arbitrary detentions are widespread in Cuba, Ecuador, El Salvador, Nicaragua. If you're wondering how that's just like no cash bail, it's not.
Many people tend to overlook this point, but it matters more than they realize. The freedoms Americans often treat as ordinary are not guaranteed in most other parts of the world. Even Europe, so often praised as more ethical or progressive, does not offer the same level of protection. In the United States, free speech is not something granted by those in power. It is a core right. You can criticize elected leaders, joke about powerful institutions, and express unpopular opinions without fearing that someone will show up at your door in the middle of the night. That contrast becomes clearer when you look beyond America's borders. In countries like Great Britain, laws allow authorities to investigate or respond to speech labeled harmful, provocative, or disruptive, even when no violence is involved. For many Americans, this idea is shocking because it clashes with their understanding of liberty. It reveals how rare true freedom of expression really is. This isn't about encouraging chaos or spreading Hatred, it's about recognizing that once speech is judged through political moods or social trends, freedom starts to shrink quickly. This connects directly to the larger frustration discussed earlier. People can't realistically claim to live under tyranny while openly criticizing their government with little consequence. Immigrants and those who have lived under real oppression understand this instinctively. They see opportunity and protection where others only see flaws. That doesn't mean America is perfect, it isn't, and improvement is always necessary, but appreciation must come before reform. When people stop valuing what they have, they often don't notice its disappearance until it's too late. Freedom rarely vanishes all at once, it fades quietly, while everyone assumes it will always be there. That's the message to remember. If you found this perspective helpful, feel free to support the channel by liking and subscribing for more content like this.